So we do have some good news regarding Social Security. I want to break down what is actually happening, what the discussions are, and how this could potentially impact you. First off, if you can do me a favor, go ahead and hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It really does help out the channel. But let's get right into the video. So what is going on with Social Security? Well, here's the thing. Social Security recipients have been asking for additional relief. Lawmakers have been promising additional legislation. President Biden promised $200 per month for every single Social Security recipient. And you know how much of that $200 they have received? Well, nothing. You've not received a thing from President Biden simply because he can't get that passed. Simply because he made other promises. Now, this is where lawmakers are coming out and calling President Biden on his so-called promises. He promised nobody making less than $400,000 per year would see a penny more in taxes. But that right there is holding up that $200 per month that he promised every single Social Security recipient. That is turning into an issue. And this is where many lawmakers are calling him out on this. That, hey, you promised this. You were the one that got voted into office. Because of this, you need to actually make it right. You need to provide more to Social Security recipients. Well, this is where things get very interesting. Because yes, President Biden, Democrats, and Republicans, they all agree and they all approve of Social Security. They agree that we cannot cut Social Security. We have to increase funding to Social Security. Increase funding to the Social Security Administration as well. But how do we do that? Well, this is where this passing of the debt ceiling bill, the Fiscal Responsibility Act, this is where this comes into play. Because what we are now hearing is that lawmakers are looking for outside sources in order to find additional funding. Well, you know what they're discussing now, which is actually pretty interesting, is what if we can tax casino winnings a little bit more, specifically online gambling? Yeah, that's what they're looking at. Now, I thought this was very interesting. Obviously, not every state is approved to do this, but I think there's 37 states, including Washington, D.C., that are approved for online gambling. So because of that, could lawmakers go after this? Because again, some states said no, we can't do this. This is against the law or whatever, right? And I don't want to get into that. That's not the point of this video. But then the Supreme Court came in and said, no, this is okay. Well, here's the thing. What if lawmakers decided, we're going to tax that a little bit heavier? There's going to be a little bit of a fee that comes along with that. Yes, you may make some money, but we're also going to tax you a little bit more. And that little bit more that we tax you is going to go into something like Social Security. Well, this could be what we are going to be discussing over the next few months, because the big question mark surrounding all of Social Security is how do we get additional funding? Where does it come from? We already know that right now, because the debt ceiling bill, we are going to increase our deficit by about $4 trillion over the next 18 months. We also know over the next 10 years, we will reduce our deficit by about $1.5 trillion. And Republicans say that that's not enough. $1.5 trillion is not even close to what we should have been reducing our deficit by. We need to cut spending even more. But Democrats say, no, we can't cut spending. We have to increase taxes, increase revenue. That's what we need to do. If we increase revenue, we can give all these people all these benefits away. Well, this is where both parties have to come together because, again, we have a divided Congress. Both parties need to come together, and Republicans are going to ask for cuts, reduction in spending. That's what they're going to ask for. And Democrats are going to say, no, we need additional tax revenue. That's what we need to bring in more money. That's what we have to do. Well, what we're going to see is both. According to multiple reports that have come out over the past few months, we are going to see pretty much both sides get something. We're going to have to compromise, come together, and there will be a bipartisan bill for Social Security for Medicaid and other things as well. But let's just stick to Social Security for a second, because everybody's talking about Social Security. That's the big one. How do we improve it? Will we get some type of Social Security reform? What's it going to look like? How much more money will we bring in? Everybody wants to know these answers. The problem is we don't have the answers yet. Here's what we were waiting on. The debt ceiling. That has been addressed. We should be fine. Temporarily for about 18 months till January 1st, 2025, we should be okay. At that point, we will have other discussions. But again, we'll talk about that in about 18 months. Right now, what we need to discuss is the next step. This is where certain lawmakers have already been, putting together their legislation, putting together different plans, trying to figure out a way to make Social Security work, and so it doesn't become insolvent in the next 10 years or 9 to 10 years. With that said, if every lawmaker that has an idea puts together a plan and submits and proposes their piece of legislation, we can then take all those different proposals, put them together, pull out the pieces we don't like, find a bill that works for the majority of lawmakers, because again, we need over 50% in the Senate, we need 208, or in the House, we need 218 votes in the House of Representatives, we need 60 votes in the Senate to get something like this passed. Right now, Republicans don't have the majority, neither do Democrats in the Senate, okay? Or they have the majority, but they don't have enough to beat a filibuster. So that's where we're at this time. Right now, the expectation is that we are going to see, more proposals for Social Security. The good news is, because of the debt ceiling passing, because of it increasing, the default is off the table, meaning that there's no delays to your Social Security payments. Your benefits will be coming each and every month, so you don't have to worry about that. This month, you actually get 2 checks, simply because of the days of the week, obviously, and when you get your first and last, or your checks every single month. But again, you're not getting 2 checks because the government's like, oh, congratulations, you did good, you're on Social Security, here's another check. No, it's just because of the day. So don't think, all those people reporting 2 checks for Social Security, everybody's getting excited, oh yeah, I can go spend it. No, it's just a check for a different month, okay? So keep that in mind. The last thing is an increase for Social Security is possibly coming, okay? And yes, it's the cost of living adjustment, that's going to come as well, but there's actually some that are considering an increase to Social Security because of changing the way that the cost of living adjustment is calculated. And if that happens, we could actually see a small increase to Social Security benefits on top of your cost of living adjustment for 2024. All right? So just be prepared. That could potentially happen. If it does, or if we start seeing more, or really hearing more discussions, I promise I will fill you in on all the latest news and updates. All you gotta do is 2 things. First off, hit the like button on this video, click that subscribe button so you never miss an update, and I will see you guys on the next one.